She needs you more than you need her. The truth about power in a relationship, psychology tips. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Most men don't hear that until after they've bled away their confidence. But hear it now. You are the standard, not the supplicant. Somewhere the script flipped and capable men started tiptoeing in their own homes, chasing, proving, over-explaining, hoping to be picked by someone offering little beyond aesthetics and entitlement. That isn't love. That's a trade of your dignity for short-term approval. Stay with me here, because what I'm about to reveal flips the entire dynamic back into your favor. Real value in relationships isn't about beauty. It's about power rightly held, self-possession, direction, poise. When you're steady, mission-driven, investing in your health, money, craft, and character, demand rises. Calm men with clear purpose are scarce. And that's why you need to keep listening, because once you understand the shift, everything changes for you. The culture has tried to declaw you, painting masculine leadership as toxic and romanticizing neediness as virtue. So men enter relationships as applicants instead of selectors, performers instead of leaders. But a great woman doesn't want a performer. She wants a presence. She wants to sense your confidence without bragging, your protection without bluster, your boundaries without a speech. That's the secret most men miss, and if you're still with me, you're already ahead of the pack. Act like she's doing you a favor by staying, and the polarity collapses. You become the emotional beggar. She becomes the arbiter. Power shifts, attraction fades. The cost is everywhere. Men afraid to speak plainly, men anxious about being left, men who give everything and are told it's not enough because they discounted themselves at the start. If you don't price your worth, someone else will mark it down. Women test, of course they do. Not out of malice, but to locate strength and stability. If you're reactive, people-pleasing, and quick to abandon your standards, you'll fail those tests. If you're grounded, choosing her without needing her, you pass. That's not cold, that's clarity. Keep paying attention here, because the difference between passing or failing is often just one decision, one shift in mindset. The moment you're okay with her walking away, you stop walking on eggshells. Ironically, that's when pursuit flips. The men who are chased aren't loud, they're disciplined, a little mysterious, unattached to outcomes. I want you, and I'll be fine either way is an energy, not a line. Don't turn her into your mission. Invite her into a mission already in motion. This isn't anti-woman, it's pro-you. Love thrives between two strong people. If one is weak, needy, and uncertain, the weak one pays. Reclaim your frame without games, manipulation, or ice. Let your life set the tone. Keep your standards. Choose wisely or be chosen apart. So stay with me through this, because the next part will show you how to put it all into practice, and once you do, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. 1. Stop chasing. Start choosing. That is the truth about power in a relationship, and it's a lesson every man must take to heart if he wants respect, attraction, and balance. Chasing is not masculine. It's desperation dressed up as romance. Movies may glorify it, but in real life it communicates weakness, neediness, and a silent confession that says, "You're more valuable than me." Don't fall for that trap. From childhood, men are told to impress, perform, and compete for female attention as if she were the prize. But psychology tips show us the opposite. The moment you chase, you surrender the crown. Love advice backed by real-world observation proves that women sense this energy instantly. A man who over-pursues, who flatters endlessly, who floods her with attention before she's earned it, creates a lopsided dynamic that suffocates attraction. She may smile politely, she may enjoy the ego boost for a moment, but the truth is she's already lost interest because there's no challenge, no mystery, and no respect. On the other hand, choosing shifts everything. Choosing is quiet confidence. Choosing is masculine energy in its purest form. A man who chooses observes, evaluates, and measures a woman not just by her beauty, but by her alignment with his mission, his values, and his peace. That is strength. That is magnetic. Imagine two men in the same room. The first rushes in, eager to please. showering compliments and clinging to every word. The second stays composed, engages with others, carries himself with presence, and when he finally speaks to her, he looks her in the eye and asks bold questions. Who does she lean toward? Not the one begging for her validation, but the one who already validates himself. This is the essence of powerful dating tips. Respect yourself enough to stop overinvesting in someone who hasn't earned a place in your world. You must remember your mission comes first. She is not the mission, she is a possible addition to it. Don't throw away your crown because she's attractive. Don't let your worth be dictated by how many women you can chase. Your value is measured by your ability to stay centered, to move with intention, and to choose wisely. Chasing makes you reactive. Choosing makes you sovereign. Chasing says, I hope she wants me. Choosing says, let's see if she is worthy of me. That subtle shift in mindset turns the tables completely. The right women will pursue you not because you played games, but because you carried yourself with authority. You must cultivate this presence by investing in your own growth, your purpose, your stability. Women respect a man who is already complete, not one scrambling to be completed by her. The truth about power in relationships is this: she needs you more than you need her, because authentic masculine energy cannot be faked, and when you master it, you become the chooser, not the chaser. So the next time you feel the urge to over-pursue, pause and ask yourself, am I acting out of fear or strength? Am I seeking validation or am I standing in my value? Real psychology tips, timeless love advice, and sharp dating tips all point to the same truth. When you stop chasing and start choosing, you reclaim your power, you command respect, and you create attraction that lasts. Be the man who decides, not the one who begs. That is where true confidence lives, and that is the kind of man women never forget. 2. Attention is not love. Let's crush a lie that has trapped countless men and wrecked their confidence. Just because she gives you attention does not mean she loves you. Be clear, attention is cheap. It costs nothing. And in many cases, it's not about you, it's about her ego. That is the harsh truth you must face. In love psychology, too many men confuse a smile, a laugh, or a quick reply with something deeper. They mistake a moment of interest for genuine emotional commitment. And that mistake is exactly how they lose their power. She replies to your texts, laughs at your jokes, maybe even flirts a little, and suddenly you convince yourself she's the one. Don't fool yourself. Some women give attention only to keep you orbiting around them, not because they want you, but because they like being wanted. That's not romance. That's ego maintenance. And if you don't recognize the difference early, you'll waste your time, your energy, and your loyalty on someone who is never really invested. You'll think you're in a relationship, but in reality, you're just a side character in her story. Picture this. You meet a beautiful woman. She lights up when you talk. She replies instantly. She compliments you. You start to believe she's serious. But soon the energy fades. She starts pulling back. Her replies slow down. Her interest seems distant. When you ask what's wrong, she brushes it off. Nothing, I'm just busy. You're sweet, but I'm not ready. That's when you realize you've been living in emotional limbo. You're not her man, but you feel tied to her. You're not dating, but you feel responsible. And here's the trap. You chase the high of that early attention, thinking, if I just try harder, maybe she'll come back. But she won't, because she was never really in. She gave you attention, not love. She sparked your emotions, but never invested hers. She kept you hooked while keeping her options wide open. You became entertainment, a safe distraction, a backup plan. And you ignored the warning signs because you thought attention was love. This is where love psychology comes in. Attention is curiosity, but love is commitment. Attention is a spark. Love is the steady flame. Attention fades. Love stays. Don't confuse the two. Let's go deeper. Imagine a man at work who gets regular compliments from a woman colleague. They have coffee. They text at night. He feels seen. He feels special. He believes she gets me. Meanwhile, she's in a relationship with someone else. But with him, she feels validated, safe, entertained. He unknowingly becomes her emotional boyfriend, always available, always giving, but never truly chosen. She never promised him love. She never lied. But he built a fantasy out of signals, and when reality hits, he feels betrayed. Not because she deceived him, but because he deceived himself. Don't let this be you. Attention is free. Love costs something. Love invests. Love sacrifices. Love shows up when things aren't exciting. Love doesn't just flatter, it commits. And you must hold yourself to higher relationship goals. Stop chasing intensity, flirty texts, playful banter, emotional sparks, and start paying attention to consistency. Because consistency reveals character. A woman who loves you won't disappear when the thrill fades. She'll stand with you when life is heavy. She'll keep giving when things aren't fun. That is the difference between attention and love. So, how do you protect yourself? Simple, slow down. Stop confusing convenience with care. Ask yourself, is she consistent or just convenient? Is she building with me or just keeping me around? Does she value me or just the way I make her feel? If the answer points to convenience, walk away. Don't negotiate with half-hearted energy. Don't invest in someone who only invests in keeping you guessing. And here's the ultimate shift. When you stop chasing women who only give you attention, you create space for a woman who's ready to give you love. When you stop letting attention trick you into false intimacy, you reclaim your power. Remember, in any relationship, she needs you more than you need her, because true value comes from the man who knows his worth. Be that man. Set higher relationship goals. Attract women who choose you, not just entertain themselves with you. Build love that lasts, not moments that vanish. Don't confuse emotional attention with emotional commitment. Don't sell yourself short for a compliment, a text, or a laugh. Be clear. Be firm. Be a man who requires more than sparks. You demand fire. That is the truth about power in a relationship. And when you live by that truth, you'll never again be trapped by crumbs of attention pretending to be love. 3. Power shifts when you beg. Let's make this clear. The moment you lower yourself to beg for her attention, her affection, or her time, you lose something deeper than pride. You lose your power. And when power is gone, respect follows right behind it. A man doesn't begin his journey as a beggar. He begins with fire, with direction, with focus. At the start, you move with certainty. You don't obsess over unanswered texts. You don't change your entire schedule to revolve around her. You live in your rhythm. But slowly, almost unnoticed, that rhythm is interrupted. She pulls away slightly, becomes colder, less present. And instead of standing tall, you bend. Instead of holding your ground, you chase. You begin overcompensating for what feels like a connection slipping through your fingers. That is the trap. When you beg, you give away your frame. You surrender your ground. You stop leading and start reacting. And neediness is never love. It is weakness. Marcus Aurelius, the great old Stoic, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Begging proves the opposite. It says, "My worth depends on you." And in that instant, she sees you not as a man of strength, but as a man who doubts his own value. Don't fool yourself into thinking she doesn't notice. She does. Even if she never says it, she feels it. The more you push, the more she pulls away. Why? Because desperation signals dependence. And dependence kills attraction. It whispers the most destructive message of all. Without you, I am nothing. That single belief destroys your value faster than anything else. Once she knows you'll beg, she knows she holds control. She no longer has to earn your attention. She no longer has to invest her heart. She doesn't even have to show up consistently because she knows no matter how little she gives, you'll still be there. That's how power flips. You hand over your masculinity on a silver platter. You give her the keys to your emotions. You let her decide when you're happy and when you're broken. But here's the truth that both modern Stoic and old Stoic wisdom teaches. Your worth was never supposed to be tied to her response. Your value existed before she came, and it will exist if she leaves. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you beg, you've already reacted from weakness. Begging never inspires love. It inspires discomfort. It doesn't draw her closer. It makes her question why you need her so desperately. A man who knows his worth never begs. He speaks his truth once. He sets his standard. And if it's not met, he walks away with dignity. That is masculine energy. That is self-respect. But the man who begs, he apologizes for things he never did. He stays silent when he should stand tall. He accepts crumbs of attention while handing over his whole heart. And in doing so, he trains her to never take him seriously. Let that sink in. When you beg, you're no longer respected, you're merely tolerated. You might still be in her life, but you are no longer leading it. The more you beg, the more invisible you become. The more you chase, the less she values you. That is why the man who wants to attract women and maintain respect must refuse to beg. So here is your way-up call. Stop chasing emotional scraps. Stop trying to prove you're worthy. Stop waiting for someone who gives you nothing in return. This doesn't mean you harden your heart. It means you ground yourself in purpose. It means you embody stoicism, not being cold, but being unshakable. Your emotions are yours, not hers to control. Your value comes from your vision, your discipline, your mission, not from her validation. The modern Stoic knows this. The old Stoic lived by it. And you must remember it, because the man who stops begging becomes magnetic. The man who stands firm, who refuses to compromise his dignity, forces others to respect him, even those who once took him for granted. The moment you stop begging is the moment you take your power back. That's when she notices. That's when she wonders why your energy shifted. That's when she realizes you are not dependent. You are decisive. Don't wait until you're broken to learn this lesson. Don't wait until your boundaries are shattered. Don't give anyone the power to make you feel small. You were never put on this earth to beg for love. You were put here to build, to create, to lead, to master yourself and your life. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Don't waste another second begging. Reclaim your frame. Reclaim your strength. Reclaim your dignity, because she needs you more than you need her. And once you live from that truth, you stop begging and start leading. If this message hit home, like this video, share it with a man who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more wisdom that protects your power. Comment below to lock it in. I never beg. I lead with worth. 4. Emotional control, shock attraction. Emotional control is not coldness. It's competence, and in modern relationships, it is the quiet force that flips the power dynamic because steadiness, yours, creates safety, hers. That is the paradox of attraction. And here are the psychology tips you need to embody it without turning into a stone statue. Don't let a surge of feeling become a surrender of frame. Don't treat every unread message like an emergency. Don't collapse into apologies you don't mean or arguments you don't need. Be the man who feels deeply yet decides calmly, who listens without being led, who notices the pull of anger, fear, or pride and chooses response over reaction. That is power. You must understand the difference between being authentic and being impulsive, because authenticity is honest and measured, while impulsivity is honest and messy. And messy never scales in love or in life. Use simple, repeatable psychology tips. Name what you feel. I'm angry, I'm anxious, because once you name it, you can tame it. Breathe before you speak, because oxygen beats adrenaline, and give yourself a rule. No heavy texting when you're heated, no solving big issues after midnight, no chasing when your gut is screaming. Prove yourself, because proving is a losing frame. Be grounded in your values so your emotions have rails to run on: respect, responsibility, reciprocity. Then when a test shows up, and tests always show up, you don't flinch, you clarify. Say less, mean more. Keep your center. When she's upset, don't mirror chaos, mirror clarity. Soft voice, slow pace, firm boundary. I want to hear you, and we'll talk when we're both calm. That is leadership. You must remember that attraction isn't built by winning arguments, but by holding standards. And standards are simply love advice you give yourself and then enforce. If she's distant, don't beg, observe. If she provokes, don't explode, redirect. If she threatens to leave, don't plead, release. Because the man who can walk away is the man who rarely has to. These are not games. These are dating tips for grown men who value peace over drama and outcomes over outbursts. Modern life will bait you into emotional weakness, constant notifications, social media comparisons, instant replies. So take back control of your inputs, lift heavy things, do hard work, keep real friends, protect your sleep, build a schedule that leaves no space for spiraling, and watch how your self respect and hers for you rises. You must cultivate a signal habit: pause before reply, reflect before decide, act before anxiety returns, because momentum favors the disciplined. Remember, a woman respects a man she can rely on, not a man she must regulate. If life hits hard, be the anchor, not the wave. If she's stormy, stabilize, don't synchronize. If a boundary is crossed, respond once clearly, then enforce it without theater. That is how trust is earned and desire is kept. Use these psychology tips in small moments, the unread. Text the cold tone, the disagreement over nothing, because big respect is built in small moments. Fold your humor in. 2. Lightness without neediness is magnetic. Tease, smile, pivot, but never perform for approval. Approval is rented, not owned. Your work is to own your attention, your time, your choices. Upgrade your life so your emotions have fewer chances to hijack you. Train your body, sharpen your mind, grow your income, pursue your purpose. When your mission is big, minor slights stay. Minor, you must be the man who can hear no without sulking, later without pouting, and criticism without crumbling. Be direct when you speak, short sentences, specific asks, no essays. Because certainty is attractive and scarcity of words signals strength. Here's the love advice seasoned men live by. Don't negotiate your self-respect. Don't compete with her past. Don't confuse intensity with intimacy. Be consistent, be kind, be unshakable. If you need a script, try this: I care about us, and I care about respect. When conversations get heated, I'll pause and return when we're both clear. If that's not workable, we're not workable. Clean, calm, closed. That is how you lead without controlling. Finally, embed these dating tips into your day so they become reflexes. A morning routine that centers you, a workout that challenges you, a nightly shutdown that empties your mind. Do this long enough, and your emotional world gets quiet, your decisions get simple, and your presence gets heavy in the best way. Because at the end of the day, the most attractive quality isn't money, muscle, or charm. It's composure under pressure, warmth without weakness, boundaries without bravado. Be that man. Because when you master your emotions, you stop asking for permission to feel powerful. You become power, and when you become power, she doesn't need to control you. She chooses to respect you. That is the truth, and you must live it. 5. She tests you to find a leader. Don't make the mistake of thinking every challenge from a woman is an attack. Many men hear a sharp word, a disagreement, or a sudden pullback of affection and immediately take it as disrespect. They panic. They start chasing harder. They get emotional, insecure, and lose the very ground they were standing on. That is exactly when they fail. Because here's the truth: she's not always testing you to tear you down. More often, she's testing you to see if you can stand tall. She's testing you to find a leader. Women don't consciously plan these tests. They don't sit there with a checklist and think, today I'll make him prove himself. No, it's instinctual, subconscious, built deep into female psychology. Love psychology teaches us that women are wired to seek strength, stability, and leadership in a man. It's not about control, it's about security. If she's going to trust you with her body, her heart, and her future, she needs to know you won't collapse under pressure, that you can not only protect her, but also protect the peace of the relationship. When she pulls back, when she questions your decision, when she raises her eyebrows at your certainty, she is silently asking, can I trust this man's direction? It's not always disrespect. It's a test of your frame, your steadiness, your capacity to lead. And the moment you become reactive, emotional, or desperate to please, you fail. You show her you can be moved too easily. You show her that her moods, not your values, are steering the ship. And when that happens, attraction fades. Not because she's cruel, but because her instincts whisper, this man doesn't have a backbone. Think about it like this. A storm doesn't test the strength of a tree to destroy it. The storm is just being a storm, but the tree reveals its strength or weakness by how it responds. In relationships, the woman may be the storm, but you are meant to be the rooted oak. If your roots are shallow, you'll be ripped apart. If your roots run deep, she'll admire your strength and lean into your shade. Don't panic when she challenges you. Be calm. Don't beg for her to stop testing. Rise above it. Don't trade your clarity for cheap validation. Hold your frame. That is leadership. That is what she's looking for. You must show her through your actions, not your words, that you are grounded, confident, and unshakable. You can love her, desire her, and care for her, but you still lead. And that balance is what creates true attraction. That is what helps you attract women naturally and build lasting relationship goals. Remember, she doesn't want to be in charge. She may act like she does, but deep down, she doesn't want to carry the weight of both her emotions and yours. She wants to rest in your presence, to feel your direction, to know that even when life gets messy, you won't get lost in the chaos. The moment she senses that, the tests stop. The trust begins. And trust is the soil where love truly grows. The mistake most men make is thinking leadership is about dominance or control. Wrong. Leadership is about direction. It's about self-mastery first. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead her. If you crumble under tension, she'll never feel safe enough to relax in your arms. But when you walk through conflict with steady steps, when you refuse to be tossed around by moods and emotions, when you show her you have vision, strength, and clarity, she will stop testing and start trusting. That is when attraction deepens. That is when love psychology works in your favor. So here's the takeaway. Don't resent the test. Respect it. It's not a punishment. It's an opportunity. Every time she challenges you, you get to prove, not to her, but to yourself, that you are the man you claim to be. And once you consistently demonstrate that, you don't just attract women, you inspire loyalty. You don't just win her attention, you win her respect. And respect is the real foundation of every meaningful relationship goal worth building. And if this resonates with you, drop a comment right now. I lead with strength and clarity. Like this video, subscribe for more psychology tips and love advice, and remind yourself daily, when she tests you, it's not to break you, it's to find your backbone. 6. Purpose before partnership. Don't ever forget this. Without a purpose, no relationship will save you. A man without a mission is like a soldier without a battlefield, drifting aimlessly and eventually losing the respect of those who once believed in him. Too many men fall into the trap of putting a woman at the center of their existence before they've built their own foundation. They hand over their energy, their time, even their identity, all in the name of love, and in doing so, they quietly abandon the very things that made them strong in the first place: discipline, vision, and ambition. That is weakness disguised as romance. And weakness never attracts long-term respect. Marcus Aurelius, the old Stoic emperor, once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." That statement cuts straight to the truth. If your life has no compass, if you wander without direction, a woman might stay entertained for a season, but sooner or later she will see it. She will sense the void. And when she realizes you have no path, no mission, no forward drive, she will not feel secure. Why? Because safety isn't in words, it's in action. Security isn't in promises, it's in direction. Let's be clear, a woman doesn't want to be your only mission. She doesn't want the pressure of being your entire purpose. She wants to join a man who already knows where he's going, who has already carved out a path worth walking. She wants to step into your story, not hold the pen to write it for you. That is why your purpose must come before partnership. This isn't selfishness. This is structure. Build your life before you invite her into it. Build your body. Build your finances. Build your discipline. Build your mind. Build your vision. The modern Stoic knows that a life anchored in purpose radiates stability, and stability is magnetic. Here's the hard truth. The man who sacrifices his mission just to keep a woman will always be replaceable. Always. Because when you erase your identity for her comfort, you erase the very thing that drew her to you in the first place. But the man who stands firm in his mission, who stays committed to his path while still choosing her, is rare. And rare men are not disposable. Rare men don't beg. Rare men attract. As Epictetus, another old Stoic, declared, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Don't fool yourself into thinking that giving up your goals proves your love. It doesn't. It proves your weakness. And weakness repels. Strength attracts. The man who puts purpose first is the man who commands respect, not just from women, but from everyone around him. In modern life, this truth is sharper than ever. We live in a world that constantly distracts you, pulling you away from your mission with empty entertainment, shallow relationships, and endless comparisons. But if you live like a modern Stoic, if you discipline your mind and master your time, you become unshakable. And unshakable men are irresistible. Think about it. The man who wakes up early, who trains his body, who invests in his future, who refuses to be swayed by every fleeting emotion, he radiates power. He is a leader. He is a rock. He is a man a woman will want to stand beside, not because she completes him, but because he is already complete. That is the secret. Don't seek to be half a man looking for a half to make you whole. Be whole first, then share that wholeness. So here is your command. Stop making her your purpose. Stop rewriting your destiny for her approval. Stop apologizing for having a vision bigger than romance. You must put your mission above everything else. That doesn't mean you don't love. It means your love comes from strength, not need. And strength is the only ground where lasting respect grows. Purpose before partnership. Mission before relationship. Direction before affection. That is the order. That is the power. That is how you master life. 7. Respect is the real currency. Men, let's cut through the noise and face the truth. Respect is the real currency in relationships, and without it, you're bankrupt no matter how much attraction, charm, or success you think you bring to the table. Attraction is just the spark, but respect is the fuel that keeps the fire alive. And here's the psychology tip most men ignore. Respect isn't a trophy you demand. It's a lifestyle you live daily, a standard you uphold in every word, every action, and every boundary you refuse to compromise. If you let her talk down to you, if you allow disrespect to slide, if you bend your principles every time she tests you, you're not buying peace. You're selling your value cheap, and the price is always your dignity. That is why the greatest love advice you'll ever receive is simple. Be consistent, because consistency builds trust, and trust builds respect. Be firm in your standards, because bending them for comfort only teaches her that your words mean nothing, and when your words mean nothing, your presence becomes invisible. Don't fall for the trap of thinking being agreeable makes you lovable. It doesn't. It makes you forgettable. She will admire you more when you stand your ground, when you show her that you can lead with clarity, treat her with kindness, and still never abandon your frame. That's real strength, and women respect strength more than any empty promise. A man who can be loved but not trusted is replaceable, but a man who is both loved and respected becomes unforgettable because he represents safety, stability, and power. And here's the sharpest dating tip you'll hear. Love without respect is just infatuation, and respect without love is fear. But when a woman both loves and respects you, her loyalty becomes unshakable, and no temptation, no distraction, no challenge can pull her away. Don't trade your dignity for temporary attention. Don't sacrifice your standards for fleeting comfort, and don't ever think that bending makes you stronger. It only breaks you silently. The truth is, every time you hold your ground, every time you choose integrity over weakness, you send a message. I am a man who cannot be moved by pressure, only by principle. That is the kind of man women truly admire, the kind they trust, the kind they never forget. So guard your respect like treasure, demand it without begging, and live in a way that commands it naturally. The best psychology tips, the strongest love advice, the most practical dating tips all point back to this one principle. Respect is the foundation of everything. Protect it. Earn it. Never lose it. Because once respect is gone, nothing else matters. Brothers, thank you for staying with me until the end of this message. Let me leave you with this. Stop putting yourself beneath anyone. You are not chasing a prize. You are the prize when you live with discipline, purpose, and self-respect. Don't beg for love. Build yourself so love naturally finds you. A healthy relationship is never about proving your worth. It's about standing firm in it. So my advice to you is simple. Lead with strength, walk with dignity, and never forget your value. Stay sharp, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.